We do want to get back to our breaking news. That 7.5 magnitude earthquake hitting Taiwan with more. We are joined by seismologist Dr. Lucy Jones. What can you tell us about the 7.5 that struck?
Okay, the earthquake happened on the east coast of the island of Taiwan. It began, an earthquake of this size happens over a length of fault, probably at least 100 miles long. It began just south of the city of Hualien. We're seeing aftershocks north of Hualien, so it probably ruptured through the city, which means that the level of damage there is potentially quite high. Luckily, it's only 350,000 people compared to the many millions that would be in Taipei or Taichung. It does look like there was a certain level, an amplified level of shaking in Taipei. Taipei sits on a bowl of sediment, just like Los Angeles. And that bowl basically amplifies the shaking. It's something we have seen and expect to see in the big earthquakes in the LA area. So it does look like there was more shaking in Taipei than would be expected just from the distance to the faults.
What about the tsunami wave? Reports of a potential 10-foot tsunami wave. Is that going to do much damage?
Maximum of 10 feet. And again, the fact that the east coast of Taiwan is as mountainous as it is, very few people are anywhere near the sea level. So that's going to help mitigate any damage. But the fault on which this happened is what's called a thrust fault, which means one side moved up and over the others. And as I said, it started south of Hualien, ruptures to the north, and the northern part appears to be underwater, which means you're now changing the shape of the seafloor. And that's why the tsunami warning has been issued. I haven't seen, but though it might be out by now, any confirmation of the actual observation of tsunamis. The warning has been put out on the basis of the type of earthquake and the location.
So we're seeing on our map here the initial 7.5 and then a 7.4. Is that a separate earthquake or an aftershock? Go ahead.
No, the 7.4 is a correction. That's the actual magnitude of the earthquake. The very first estimates are always a little less accurate until you get more information. So the 7.4, you see at the same time, that is the magnitude of the main shock. There have been more than half a dozen aftershocks above magnitude 5. Looking quickly at what's on, there was a 6.4 almost immediately afterwards, just 10 minutes after the main shock. And there's another half a dozen fives that have happened since then, mostly to the north of the original location.
For people that lived in Southern California back in 1994, of course, they'll never forget that Northridge quake, which was a 6.7. When you're talking about a magnitude 7.5, can you explain how much bigger that is and what you would expect in terms of damage, injuries, deaths from a magnitude 7.5?
The magnitude doesn't tell you injuries and deaths. You have to know what shaking people received. I mean, the Landers earthquake was 7.2, close to the size of this 7.4. But because it was out in the desert, there was only one fatality and relatively not such extensive losses. So you need to combine the location with the magnitude. The fact that we had a 7.4 that went through a city, that was the thing about Northridge. It went through the northern part of the valley. So areas like Chatsworth received extreme shaking. If you were down in downtown Los Angeles, it wasn't that bad. Right? So the Chatsworth people are like what's in Hualien, and what's going on in Taipei is probably more like what we would have had in downtown Los Angeles. Potentially like Santa Monica, where there was amplification of shaking and we saw more damage there. South of the mountains, but we didn't have any fatalities south of the mountains. So my guess, this complete guess, just looking at the data, it's unlikely that there are fatalities in Taipei. However, in Hualien, there very well could be. Now, the USGS creates something called PAGER, which is a prompt assessment of losses from associated with earthquakes. And the PAGER estimates for this earthquake are that they are probably, it actually says probably no fatalities. Wow. A 35% chance that there would be fatalities in this event. And again, it's because it's in a relatively isolated area of the country.
Okay, so we've learned that it has been officially downgraded to 7.4. magnitude quake. We will continue to watch this, and we always appreciate you jumping on with us, Dr. Lucy Jones. You are the premier source when it comes to this, as we all know, so we appreciate you. Thanks for helping us make sense of it.
Thank you.